Hello, Jen Havey.
Hello, Mike Lewis.
Here we are again. Special recording session this time where we're in the same house but in separate rooms.
Because I can't be in the same room with you.
Is that what it is? Are there laws against it?
Either that or I just really desperately wanted to use the line, "The call is coming from inside the house."
And the call most certainly is coming from inside the house. I can actually hear you through my door a little bit.
I can hear you through the door, too.
Okay, it's a little weird. There's a little bit of a kind of a delay going on.
All kinds of sensory input happening, and it's very strange.
It's kind of fun, though. It's a fun little way to do this.
So, there you go, Internet. A little insight into our lives. I'm now sitting on his futon as he's in his bedroom with the door closed.
Yeah, we decided to get together and make this a little hangout session, but since we can't use both of our microphones on my computer, we decided to just have you bring your computer to my house.
Pretty much. I've now lugged the boyfriend's laptop through the burrows, had brunch with the laptop, and then proceeded to bring it here.
And then took the laptop around a cemetery.
Yeah, holy crap, that was a lot further than I thought it was going to be, dude. Holy crap.
There's some giant cemeteries in this city. I've seen there's one if you take the, I want to say it's the Q train to Coney Island. You pass this giant cemetery on the way down
It's
there.
probably the same one I just walked around, because that's Greenwood Cemetery. The thing is huge. And like I said, if I had thought for a second I could walk through it without getting lost, or perhaps locked in, because they close at, a weird hour, I would have done that. But I was afraid, and so I nearly got hit by a van instead. It was kind of awesome.
Oh, New York. You get lost in cemeteries and almost killed by traffic.
That's how we roll here in New York. It's awesome.
It's fun times.
Yes, it is.
So I guess let's just jump right in with the top story on our show notes.
Shall we?
Yes, because we've already discussed Harry Potter
Yes.
at length on this show, and this is a nice little bit of new Harry Potter news for us.
Though I feel like we actually spent more time on Twilight in that particular episode.
I really think we did. I think
that's
Twilight.
terrifying.
Oh, it's so sad. And neither of us has ever read Twilight.
I read Twilight.
Oh, did you read Twilight?
Yeah, I read the whole series, much to my dismay. Yeah, I know. It's
That's dedication.
It's a month and a half of my life I'll never get back.
But so yeah, now we have the new Harry Potter movie is coming out soon. The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Very true.
And I haven't read those. I know they have the Fantastic Beasts. They have Quidditch Through the Ages.
Yeah.
I didn't read those, but I think now the premise of those is they're written by an American wizard. I think.
You know what's funny is I did read those, and I couldn't tell you. No, I feel like, because remember, those are both textbooks that the kids read in the books.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, not Quidditch Through the Ages, but Fantastic Beasts. I think you're right.
Right. Well, that was textbook. Quidditch Through the Ages, I feel like was mentioned though at some point.
It was. It was. I think it was a Christmas gift that Harry got in probably book 1.
Oh, probably. But yeah, I don't think they're written by American wizards, but maybe.
It might be a British wizard that goes to America to find. I can't. America does figure into the book in some way, but I don't know how.
It must, because of the reason why we're talking about it.
Yes, we're talking about. So apparently, it was recently revealed that J.K. Rowling has come up with a new word for Muggle that the American wizards use. That's different from what the British wizards use. Rather than Muggle, American witches and wizards use the word nomad.
And it's terrible.
That's it, and it's literally NO-MAJ.
Because Americans are not creative, and we have to just name the non-magical folk as being non-magical.
I guess so. And oh god, yeah, that's just bad.
And I know you and I were having this discussion a little bit ago, but I don't understand why there needs to be a whole nother word, because
I'm totally fine with that, because there are such different words in British English and American English. We have different words for the same things. There's different slang. I'm fine with that.
See,
just needs to be a better word than nomad.
Right, and I agree with you on that, but I just don't see where there needs to be another word. I understand there's plenty of English and British English and American English that differ. You know, you have a car with a trunk versus a car with a boot. I totally get that. But, I don't think that was necessary for this. And yes, it needs to be a better word, but then the question becomes, what would a better word be? Because I used to think muggle was kind of an offensive sounding word. I mean, it's not a real word. I get that, but it's one of those where...
Well, no, it is a real word now.
Well, now it is.
It is officially in the dictionary.
But I mean, it just sounds a little bit derogatory, and they use it in a derogatory fashion in the books.
Yeah, it does. It does sound a bit harsh, and there are some times when people use it in the books in a very derogatory manner.
Right.
But I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, you have witches and wizards. What would you call someone who's not a witch or wizard? You would just call them a non-witch or a non-wizard. So
I would call them a person?
You would call them a nomad. Well, but the witches and wizards are people too, Jen.
Lies!
Are we gonna start to have some kind of a civil rights debate about witches and wizards?
We could try. I think we'd fail, though. It would just
Probably
kind of go,
so.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't go well.
But again, I'm fine with using a different word than muggle. I mean, that would make sense.
All right.
I think if it had been a better word than nomad...
Then, here, Mike Lewis, I challenge you. Come up with a word. Go.
You could come up with any kind of word. I mean, muggle's a made-up fake word.
Right.
In America, we could call them, I don't know, blarmies or something. It doesn't matter.
Normies.
Normies, yeah, anything, but like not nomad. Nomad sounds like some kind of a government bureaucratic. It sounds like something in the military. It sounds like some unthought, some kind of unimaginative military slang.
See, and to me, it sounds like nomad, where it's like these people that go wandering through the desert.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like nomad, but I don't know. It's just. It's a bad word. It's a bad idea.
But it's funny. I've heard nothing good about it. Like, everybody who's talked about that phrase are all, like, really bothered by it. I wonder if there's people out there that are like, yeah, that's cool.
But they're in the extreme minority, I feel.
I want to find them because I'm curious.
Yeah, we got to try to find, like, one person that's okay with nomad.
Okay,
but I really don't think we're going to find them.
Internet, tell us, are you okay with nomad? Because neither of us are thrilled by it, and I know there's plenty of internet people that are not. But if you are thrilled by it, please tell us, because I'm confused.
I don't get it. Yeah. Oh, my God. It's just...
I just thought it was an unnecessary moment. Like, you say that, because there's different slang in both countries, that's fine. But I just don't think it was necessary, because nobody would make that connection.
And you're right. It's not necessary. I mean, if she had just kept using the word muggle, then it would have avoided this problem entirely.
Right.
But again, I don't have a problem with having a different word for it, because that was an issue that popped up a lot in the books early on when they first published them in the States. They changed a lot of stuff in the first two books. Like, the title of the first book alone was changed.
Wait, they changed the second book? I knew they changed the first book, but I didn't think they changed the second book, did they?
I said the first book.
Okay, you said the first and second books.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, but there were changes. I mean, the title of the first book was changed. In the first and second book, they changed a lot of the words that were used by the characters that we don't use here in the States.
In the second book they did? I knew they did the first. I didn't think they had in the second.
No, there were a couple in the second, I think, that got changed. After that, once... it was easier just to leave in the British slang and let people figure it out themselves. They didn't. But in the first and second, I think they did for both. I think they used a lot of weird replacements for stuff. Because I know that in the British version, they use trainer a lot. We don't use trainers in the States. Trainers, jumpers, bogeys, they replaced with boogers a couple times. I think they did it in the second one a little bit. But like from the third on, I think they just stopped bothering.
Maybe. I don't remember there being a lot changed in the second. Though, in fairness, I didn't read the British edition, so I don't really know. But
in fairness, I haven't read the first two books in a long time.
There's also that.
So I don't really remember. But I do remember there being things that were changed. It was most apparent, like, if you read the books and then watched the movies. In the movies, they didn't change any of the slang.
No, but they still changed Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's Stone, which was dumb.
Yes, but, like, the words the kids used themselves, they didn't change.
Yeah, they said bogeys and things like that.
Yeah, they didn't go back and change, because that would have been too much work.
Because, changing 4 additional words is just too much.
Well, I mean, they already had to reshoot so many scenes where they said Philosopher's Stone instead of Sorcerer's Stone, so they're like, we'll go with that, and everything else will be fine.
Sure, I still feel it's weird that they felt the need to change it in the first place. It's like, seriously?
I guess they just assume that nobody in the States knows anything about
alchemy
and mythology and wouldn't know what a Philosopher's Stone was.
I will be the first to admit that our educational system's not fantastic in places, but most of us know what that is. If any of us have read anything, we know what that is.
Yeah, and then there's people like us that are just obsessed with weird, stupid shit like that.
What? We're obsessed with weird, stupid shit? Never.
No, well, what do you think we're doing right now? This is the whole reason we have this podcast, to talk about our weird, stupid shit that we like.
And on the off chance somebody else would find it amusing, yeah, it's true.
Apparently people are, so...
Hooray for that!
Let's crack on.
Yay! So are we cracking on from this topic? Do we have more to say about this nomad crap?
I don't think we do. We both hate it.
Yeah.
The entire internet appears to hate it.
True.
It was a bad idea, or at the very least, she should have put more thought into another word for muggle than nomad.
And again, unnecessary. Don't need another word. Muggle is fine. Thanks.
I'd agree we don't need another word. Had she come up with a better word, it would have been nice to have. Like, oh, cool, so now we have some more differences between, like, the Americans and the Brits and all that. But, no, this was a failure.
We love you, J.K. Rowling, but no.
Yeah, this is not a good choice.
It is a sad thing. So, since we're talking about books and we're talking about sad things, I had come across an article where, and it was a very short article, mind you, which is hilarious given the content of what the article is, that people have given up reading books. And the article was so short to the point where it took like a minute and a half to read it, which made me laugh. So basically what they're saying in the article is that 72% of adults have read one book in the last year, which is down from like 77% of adults.
I think it was 79.
Something.
Yeah, I mean,
in the 70s.
High 70s, now down to the low 70s.
Basically. And while they say, 70 whatever sounds like great, sounds like a great number, that's an awful lot of people who aren't reading anything. And they were talking about what that means for the ebook industry versus the physical book industry. And they were breaking it down by demographic, which I thought was really funny because they were like, oh, well, 18 to 24-year-olds read the most books. I'm like, well, that's because they're still in school. They're kind of required.
They're required to read books. Yeah, they have to go and pick up books to read them because a teacher is saying, hey, you're going to have to read these, 4 books this year.
Right. And, and you and I, again, working in the industry we work in, probably read more than perhaps the average adult does.
Right.
But it's because, again, there's just so much out there now as entertainment. For a while there was just books and print media, and then there was radio, and then there was television and movies, and now there's things like streaming content, which can suck up all of our lives at all times.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine at work the other day about just how kind of backlogged we are, because we were talking about video games and how we each have so many games that we have to play that we just you acquire a backlog of games that you're never going to complete because you keep buying more. Like, I just bought and downloaded Fallout 4 the other day. I'm waiting till Tuesday when I can actually play that, and that's going to eat up all my time.
So I'm not going to see you for weeks, right?
You're probably not, because now I have to balance playing Fallout 4 with all the hockey games that are on, because hockey season has started, and then I also still have you're actually sitting out there on the corner of the table. I have the most recent Sailor Moon volume that I just got in. I haven't even started watching that. I got that to watch. I have a Crunchyroll subscription, so I'm watching stuff on that. There's all the things on Netflix that I have to watch. I'm still so far behind Supernatural because there's just so much crap that I have to watch. I haven't read anything in a while, actually, because normally when I would read on the train, I've been bringing my 3DS on the train and playing a game. So yeah, there's so much stuff to split my time that I'm not surprised that people are reading less, because there's so much more that we have to entertain us that we have to get through. Which
is unfortunate, because things like video games or movies or television shows require kind of less effort on our part.
And that's why I think they're so much more popular, is because you don't have to really think about them. You just sit back and turn it on and let it go.
Right. I mean, I've been reading Ready Player One for 2 months now, and it's because I haven't picked it up in probably 4 or 5 weeks at this point, because between watching the new season of Supernatural and the new season of Sleepy Hollow and catching up on backlog of other shows and then writing fanfic things, there's all this stuff that I can be using my time for, and so that kind of goes by the wayside because I know it's going to be there. It's not like it's going anywhere. And then I'm like, oh, that's right, I had started this book 2 or 3 months ago. I should have been done way before now, and I'm not.
Yeah, I keep telling myself that I'm going to try to structure it better and pick 1 week where I just, I'll bring my DS onto the train and I'll play a game on the train, and the next week I'll bring a book on the train and I'll read the entire time. But it just, I'll either get really obsessed with whatever it is that I'm doing and stick with that, or I'll get on the train in the morning and I'm just so tired that I practically fall asleep on the train and don't do anything.
Well, that's because, in case the internet was unaware, you are on the train when it's dark.
Yes. Well, now at this point I'm not. When I wake up in the morning, I'm on the train when it's light because it's winter, and so it's kind of bright in the mornings. But coming home, it's dark. It's I'm in the tunnels where it's all dark and there's no light, and then you emerge from the tunnel and it's the sun's gone down. It's still dark.
Yeah, I have to say, though, now that I have an office job, it's kind of awesome that I wake up and it's light out, as opposed to when I was waking up at 4:30 to go to work, where it was dark no matter what time of year it was. Yeah,
keep bragging about your office job.
My office job where I sit on my butt and do very little but twiddle my thumbs and then get very sad and lonely because there's nothing going on.
Yeah, I'll cut that out. That way your bosses don't realize they're paying you to do absolutely nothing during the day. But take home free Blu-rays and CDs and shit.
What can I say? You know, I do stuff when it shows up, but I don't always have stuff to do.
I'm the same way. I mean, I have to wait until the shipment shows up. Like the other day, this was kind of funny. I probably shouldn't say this, but yesterday, one of the things when I was doing damaged merchandise, I was like marking it down to throw it away. I marked down a tiny little Star Wars Snowspeeder Lego kit, and I had nothing to do for like an hour, so I just sat there building a Lego kit for an hour.
Yeah, more things to cut out of the podcast.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't keep that in, but well, I will because it's fun for people to know.
To know that we both get paid to do things that perhaps is not related to our job. Yeah. But that's okay.
Employment.
Hey, I like employment. It helps me, pay for things like rent and food and every now and then.
And all the endless amount of entertainment that you have to keep you from reading.
Exactly. See, we've come full circle. It's fine. I pay my
$8
a month, $8 a month for Netflix and $8 a month for Hulu and whatever else I pay for. I don't even know what I pay for anymore.
I don't even know anymore. I have so many subscription services that I don't even keep track.
And I use your Crunchyroll and you use my Hulu and
yeah,
it's awesome. Yay for streaming. So I guess that's all we can really talk about that.
Yeah, there's not much more to that.
No.
Adults aren't reading anymore. And
which actually,
I guess we all saw that coming.
Which is funny because my dad, who, he's an intelligent man, but he never read a lot. Over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, when he got the first edition Nook back.
The first edition.
First edition Nook. Once he got,
I ran over mine with a car.
Of course you did. On purpose.
Well, I was drunk and I left it on the hood and it fell off and I ran it.
Why are you driving drunk?
I'm not going to go into that.
Wow, that's a whole nother podcast. Yeah, so since he got the first edition, it's obviously a lot easier for him to download books and to read them. And he's actually reading a lot more now than I think I'd ever seen him read. Like, when I was a kid, he never read anything for the paper. And now he's reading, like, anytime a new Tom Clancy novel comes out, which of course is not Tom Clancy because he's, dead. But, anytime a new one of those comes out, I buy it for him on ebook, and he reads it, and he loves this stuff. And I just, it's one of those things where it's like, he's reading more, but the average adult, not so much. And it's just like, huh. And it's not like he has more time. He went into retirement and then came right back out of it. So, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I guess that's something to be said for ebooks, then.
It's true. Well, that's what they were talking about as well in the article, is that the print media, the actual physical media, not so much, because you have to buy a physical copy, you have to carry it around, you have to flip the pages because we're all lazy as fuck. We'd much rather download it and then read it and hit a button.
Yeah. Well, and even I got I'm to the point where I have an Audible subscription now, and so I'm listening to books because I don't have time, so I'll pop in some headphones and someone can read a book to me, which is actually really fun. I like Audible. It's a great thing that I picked up. But even that has kind of fallen by the wayside because I have so many other things I'm listening to.
Well, that also depends upon who's reading it to you. Like, listening to Jim Dale read you Harry Potter is super exciting because he does the voices and everything. Listening to certain authors read their own stuff, not so much.
Yeah, some people shouldn't be reading their own books.
No, it's true. Though one of these days I'm going to listen to Felicia Day read her own memoir because I think that would be highly entertaining.
That'd be fun. I think that would be really fun.
If it was an entertaining memoir to read, I'd like to hear her say it because it would be kind of fun. So there. There's that. So next on our little docket, speaking of things that, you can sit back and watch, I suppose, so they have now started working on technology to record and play your dreams back to you.
Right, and that's... I didn't get a chance to really go through this article, so you had to summarize it for me. And the problem is, it really seemed like... I thought they were going to, I don't know. I guess I'm hoping we live in a futuristic sci-fi wonderland, and so it was saying, they can actually record what it is you're seeing in your head and play it back like a movie. And that's not exactly the case.
No, I mean, that's ultimately the goal, I suppose.
The goal.
But basically what they're doing, in the article they talk about how they got these people in this sleep study, and they are hooked up to MRI machines and various brainwave sensor kind of things. And they're like, okay, go to sleep. All right. So they go to sleep and they dream. And while you're dreaming, they wake you up because they're assholes. And they're like, hey, what were you dreaming about? And then the subjects tell them, and they write it down, and they kind of match up what you're telling them with what they're seeing on their brainwave machine. And then they try to reconstruct it based upon your brainwaves and what you told them to see if they can make it match. And eventually they were, like, showing the subjects a film, basically, of, like, landscapes and things, and recording their brainwaves to see if they could reconstruct what they were seeing from the brainwave information that they got. And some of the things actually came back really, really accurate. And, of course, some not so much. So they've gotten to the point where they can kind of, sort of, show you what you were dreaming about to a decent degree. With the ultimate goal being is, once they perfect the technology, is to be able to go into, like, coma patients' minds and kind of see what it is that they're seeing, and to assess the level of brain activity that's happening with these people, which is really interesting in a lot of ways and really helpful for humanity. But then you think about going, well, the last place I have privacy is in my own head.
Right. So, I mean, if someone's in a coma and they can't exactly give consent, but you have people hooking things to their head to let them see inside.
Yeah, it's
and so it's
weird.
Like, if it gets to a point where, like, coma patients can actually somehow communicate through this, yeah, sure. But if you're just, like, recording whatever weird coma dreams they're having in their minds, that's a little odd and kind of invasive.
Right, and that's assuming that, like, a coma patient could communicate that way. How many of us can do the lucid dreaming thing? I mean, like, really? How many of us can control what it is that's happening when we're asleep? So the idea that a coma patient could be like, oh, hey, I'm going to try to communicate with you because you're scanning my brainwaves, seems like a really, really far-fetched idea to me.
Yeah, it does sound pretty science fiction-y.
I mean, it's super cool if it could happen, but
if we could actually do it, oh yeah, that'd be great. But it seems like, I mean, because when you were describing this to me, I was thinking of what's his name? William Gibson. I have the short story collection on my shelf here. Gibson, one of his short stories in Burning Chrome was about a guy who was, like, hooking this thing to his head that sort of pumped dream information into your head while you were dreaming, and so it sort of kind of controlled what you see and what you were dreaming. And that's what I was thinking. It was like, thinking of dreams, it always seems like you think about what it is you actually, quote-unquote, see in your head, and not exactly the actual, like, lines and brain waves that you see in an MRI. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know. How far could they? Because you said in the article that they said that, yeah, this will happen, but they didn't give any kind of time frame and how long it would take to get to that kind of point, because we don't know.
Right, and I don't know about your dreams, because, we're all individual, but in a lot of my dreams, it's very, very rare that I have a very cohesive snippet that I can be like, oh yeah, this specific thing happened. Like, it's one of these where I'm just like, there was a kind of a place, and there was maybe a person, but not a specific person, and this thing. So I wonder how detailed can this possibly be when I'm the one dreaming it and I don't have a detail for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, occasionally I do have, like, really specific things that I can remember, because, like, but it has to be something so incredibly specific that it forces itself into my memory.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, it's usually just vague concepts.
Yeah, and I was like, so then how does that come across when you're recording my dream? Because, whereas I may have had a dream about a particular person in my life saying a particular thing, most of the time it's like, hey, I was in this very vague forest doing God only knows what. It's how specific.
When you try to explain your dreams to someone, it's always something like, yeah, so I was dreaming. I was like, I was at my work, but it wasn't exactly my work. It was a little different. Something was kind of off about it, and there was all these people there, and it was people that I work with, but they weren't exactly the people that I work with.
It's never anybody you actually know.
it's very rarely specific. Occasionally, I will have ones if it's something weird, like oh yeah, I was driving around in this car with my friend Amy. And this is actually a dream that I had a few nights ago that was really kind of oddly specific. It's like, yeah, I was driving around in this car with my friend Amy, and we were trying to find a particular movie in a red box, but we had to find a particular red box as the only one that had this movie, but we didn't know where it was. But then after that, it just devolved into nonsense, because it was like, yeah, so there was that going on, but then there was, like, a riot somewhere, but we saw it, but we weren't there. Then it got kind of weird and ethereal.
Huh.
Yeah, occasionally I will have, like, really specific things that I remember, but then they just they turn into nothing.
Yeah, like last night I had a dream where some guy I worked with like years ago who is autistic and has a hard time expressing himself gave a speech. And I remember at the end of it saying, that was awesome. You've done this really great job. And that's all I remember about it. Like, I don't remember what the speech was about. I don't remember, what we did afterwards. I just remember it was him, and he gave this really great public address, and I congratulated him afterwards, and that was it.
When you really get right down to it, dreams are kind of the most boring thing ever.
They really can be.
They're the most boring thing, but they're also the most fascinating because it's our mind doing these strange and incredible things while we're not even awake. But then when you try to tell it to somebody, it's the most goofy nonsense that nobody cares about.
Well, I think a lot of it is because it doesn't have significance to anybody but you. You don't know the guy I'm talking about. I don't know the girl you were talking
exactly.
about.
Like you don't know my friend Amy. So what do you care that we're driving around in a car trying to find a movie? Yeah, it's right. also personal, but at the same time, it's also all just nothing. It's like your mind is just dumping information out while you're asleep just to get rid of it.
Or trying to piece it together anyway. Something. It's doing something, one would hope.
Now, your head's doing something, but nobody knows what the hell it's doing.
That's okay. I think it's better that way.
Probably so. I don't think I really want to know why my mind does the things that it does.
No, I don't want to know why your mind does the things it does either.
Yeah, you don't want to get inside my head,
You're
Jen.
terrifying. But I love you for it.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Aww. What else is terrifying?
What else is terrifying? Is this going to be a segue? Are you going to segue now?
Segue. You love my segues, don't you?
I do like your segues, Jen.
Fantastic. I find it terrifying when my email can answer itself.
Yeah, well, okay, so it doesn't seem like our emails will be answering themselves.
No, they won't.
That was the thrust of that Google April Fool's joke that you sent me.
Which I think is hilarious. I remember the April Fool's joke and thinking it was the stupidest thing I'd ever read, and now it's a reality. And I'm just like, really?
Yeah, if I remember, it's so the April Fool's joke you sent me was back from 2009.
Right.
Where Google apparently said that they were designing this thing. It was April 1st, 2009. They announced this thing where, we're going to have this thing where you don't have to read your emails anymore. A computer program will read the emails for you and compile an answer and automatically answer the emails without you ever touching them.
Right, and fast forward 6 years.
Which, of course, is insane.
Yeah.
Fast forward 6 years, and now they have a thing where a computer program is going to read your emails and provide you 3 possible responses.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Pretty much.
It seems like it's like I was telling you, my PlayStation. It seems like an extension of what my PlayStation does, where when I'm trying to type someone a message, it sees the letters that I'm typing and then gives me a list of options that start with those letters, so I can kind of click on those and auto fill in what I'm trying to say to make it go a little bit faster. But this does seem, according to that Wall Street Journal article that I found, it does seem like that this one is pretty specific with some of the things that it offers. It doesn't just offer words, it offers entire sentences.
Well, my favorite was, and I don't know how much you read into the article, but there was a spot towards the middle of the article where they were saying that for a while, one of the 3 items it would come up with almost consistently every time was "I love you." And they're like, I don't know why I would let a artificial intelligence tell somebody that I love them. If I love them, I would say it myself.
Well, but from what I remember of that article, the thing doesn't say it for you. It just gives you a set of options that you can choose from. The thing's not answering your emails for you.
No, it's not. But they thought it was weird that was almost always a phrase that would pop up. And they realized because people at Google that were dealing with this and, beta testing and what have you, it's a phrase that people tend to use kind of nonchalantly. Oh, I did this thing. Oh, I love you. Thank you. Things like that. So
right.
It's
probably used. It's used so often that the computer just noticed it and thinks, okay, well, this is something that I can just throw out that might be useful
without realizing the actual weight of that phrase, depending upon who you're speaking to.
Right, because the computer can't analyze anything like that, who this person is and how well you know a person, and what certain things mean between certain people.
It's what is your relationship with this person? And like I was saying earlier, is that Rick's Apple Watch does something very similar. I'll send him a text saying, hey, do you want this for dinner? And he'll get a couple options of, that sounds great, I'll call you later, things like that. So
right, and again, with the Apple Watch, it makes sense because you can't type on the thing, and so if you want to respond to something quickly on your watch, then it's just okay, tap that, and it's a generic answer that you can give, and really just a generic questions, though.
For the most part, yeah. I don't know. I just, the idea that there's a computer program out there that's not only reading my emails, but analyzing them to a point where they can come up with some sort of possible answer is a little bit weird to me. I also don't get that many emails where I feel like I can't answer them, so maybe that's helpful for people. Not
yeah,
for me.
I don't get emails. Really. The only emails that I get are from you sending me story ideas for this. That's about all I get. That and like I get random things from Amazon saying, "Hey, you might like this." I don't email people. I text people.
Oh, for a minute there, I thought I was special, but then Amazon emails you.
Well, but Amazon emails everybody.
This is very true.
You're the only person that emails me like on a personal level.
Aww, email love.
Yeah, that's what we've got going, Jen. That's our relationship.
Email love and me sitting on your futon recording a podcast.
Yeah, email love and you sitting behind a closed door in my living room.
I am sitting literally like maybe 3 yards from you.
Yeah. All that's separating us right now is a door. I can hear you through my door as you're talking.
Yep, and same here. So this is highly weird and super entertaining to me.
This is kind of fun.
We'll have to remember this for next time.
Yeah, well, we tried this last time, and
that
it didn't work.
No.
we got,
alcohol and Oculus got in the way.
Yeah, we got a little too drunk, and then it was in the spirit of Halloween, we had to watch Oculus, which I believe we talked about on the last podcast.
Did we?
We talked about Oculus, yeah, how much I
liked
liked it.
Oh, yeah, we did, that's right. I had to think about it. I'm like, wait, when did we last podcast? Oh, my God.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff came up that we couldn't work around, like, you had actual, like, date things to do, and I had the Street Fighter V beta.
So all of that happened.
Yeah.
So all of that.
And in a couple of days, I have Fallout 4, so...
Yeah, so again, I'm not going to be seeing you for a while.
I'll try to... you know what? We'll have to record while I'm playing.
Oh my God. It's going to be like Twitch, but audio.
Yeah, kind of.
One of our Gishwiz mates is currently doing Twitch Extra Life right now.
Yeah, that is going on.
Mm-hmm. So she's currently streaming. I don't know what she's playing, but she's streaming for Extra Life. And I was like, hey, so I retweeted her, and because, that's what I do. Because I don't know what to do with Twitter aside from retweeting people.
I have a Twitter, and you're the only person that, like, contacts me on Twitter. I don't know how Twitter works. I just read things that people tweet.
I mentioned you in my Twitter profile.
Did you?
I did. In my
I'll
profile.
have to look at that. Yeah. I don't think I was alerted that you had changed your profile to mention me.
Probably not, just because I wasn't tweeting it anywhere. It basically, my profile says, retail worker, loony magnet, keeper of random knowledge. Then after that, it says, stay tuned, podcast in the works with no hack. What is your thing? It's
at no talent hack
no
job.
talent hack job. I'm like going hack job's in there. What's the rest of that?
We should probably come up with a Twitter account for the show.
We have one.
Oh yeah, right. You set one up, didn't you?
I did. We just haven't tweeted anything from it yet because we didn't have anything yet.
Yeah, because we haven't done anything. This is the first thing that we're doing, like, actually under the cohesive umbrella of this show.
You realize we haven't named the show yet on our podcast?
Well, we have named the show. We haven't mentioned the name of the show because I didn't plan to mention the name of the show because when this goes up on iTunes, it will have the name of the show, and there's no need to, like, say we've come up with the name of the show.
All right, fine then.
Because as people are watching this, the name of the show is going to be quite prominent in the display. Whatever.
And we just lost that thread. That's
yeah,
right.
You lost me.
That's okay. I'll find you again shortly.
You'll pick me back up. Just come around again.
I'll come around again. Since apparently we are alone in the universe, you're the only person I can pick up. Hey,
no, we're not going to. Yeah, this is another great segue, Jen. Oh, you're the master.
Of really corny segues.
Yes, yeah, that's your talent. Your talent is finding all of these stories for us to read and then awkwardly segueing into them while we're talking.
Hey, I have to be thrilled with whatever talents I've got.
I'm glad you're having fun. I really am.
Hey, are you not having fun?
I'm having a blast.
See, do you not love my segues? Come on.
They are fun.
If nothing else, you can sit there and, like, facepalm and be like, oh, God.
Oh, no, I sit in judgment of you every time. I really do.
Shit, I sit in judgment of myself, so it's fine. We as well all be judging me. Anyway, so we may be alone in the universe for now, or at least so says the Science Daily. So the gist of the article that I came across was, so the Milky Way galaxy has been created, and when it was created, all the gas makes all these stars, and apparently this particular galaxy has used up a lot of the excess gas to make stars already, which is great. We've made our stars, we've made some bunch of planets, But apparently a lot of other galaxies haven't gotten as far as we have. So any planets that might be created that can sustain life like ours, with the right distance from their star and with the right, elements in the planet, things like that.
The Goldilocks zone, I believe it's called.
Is that what it's called?
It's called the Goldilocks zone. The story of Goldilocks sleeping in the beds. This one's too hot. This one's too cold. This one's just right. Apparently, we are in what is called the Goldilocks zone, which is the exact perfect spot in orbit of a star that can sustain life.
At least
it's
life
not
as
too
we
hot.
know it.
It's not too cold. As life as we know it, of course.
Right. So what they're theorizing is that we might, in fact, be pretty much alone in the universe at this point because many of the stars that would spawn then these planets that can support life actually haven't created the planets yet. So, it's all theory, of course, and it's one of these where, you have to speculate on, oh my god, how many stars are there? Because there's how many galaxies, and there's how many stars in each galaxy, and there's how many planets around each star. And it's a lot to think about. And there's
again, how does one define life? That's where
Right.
this really gets kind of crazy.
When did the whole, and I don't expect anybody to know the answer to this, but when did the whole silicon-based life thing come out? Because I remember that being a big thing, like in the late 80s, early 90s, they're like, maybe there's silicon-based life. But I'm just like,
that
really?
was probably a thing that started, I would guess, probably in the 60s when science fiction was really kind of, that's like the golden age of science fiction is the 50s and 60s.
Right.
So you probably had people like Arthur Clarke and Isaac Asimov, who probably, I don't really know how this came about, like you said, but yeah, there's probably science fiction writers who had some kind of background in science who somehow postulated that, silicon would probably be a pretty good basis for life. Why, I'm not really sure.
I was going to say, I have no idea why that would be. Though, in fairness, biology, of all the sciences I took in school, was my least favorite because it felt like an awful lot of it was, well, this is what the mitochondria does. Well, yes, but why does it do that? It just does. And it used to bug me to no end because it's like, well, there's no explanation. This is just what it is. And it's like, holy crap, why? So I feel like the explanation for life on other planets, be it carbon-based, silicon-based, whatever, we don't really have an explanation. It's just like, this could happen. Well, all right. Yes, it could.
That's kind of the problem when you get down to any... If you really try to scrutinize any kind of scientific theory or principle, the further down you go, the less explainable it is, and it just becomes a question of, well, just because.
I guess. I don't know. In fairness, though, I think that's the basis of all religions as well, where it's like, well, how does this happen? It just does.
Well,
God
yeah, but that's
does
the problem with religion. You can't really go further down. That's like the entire surface area of religion is just because.
It just does. Some deity somewhere
because
says this.
God said so.
Oh, God. You're so silly. Why would you say such things? The question is, would God create silicon-based life?
Maybe, for fun.
Ah, interesting. God's bored one day. He's like, carbon. I've done carbon.
God is bored one day and looks down at the periodic table of elements that we have created for ourselves and just picks one out and says, silicon, why not?
Hey, Terminator 2, can we create one out of mercury? That'd be kind of fun.
Is that what he was supposed to be?
No,
Mercury?
I don't think so, but that's like how his...
Well, he's liquid metal. Mercury is a liquid metal.
Right, but yeah. So that's how he behaved. He behaved as mercury perhaps would, so anyway. Sorry, thought it was fun.
No, Terminator 2 is a great... I'll always talk about Terminator 2.
Did you see the new one? Did you see Genesis?
I didn't see Genesis. I was not interested. I wasn't interested mainly because they gave it all away in the trailer. When John Connor shows up as some kind of like nanobot Terminator.
I didn't catch that.
It was in one of the trailers.
Huh.
Like he straight up showed up and he was a Terminator.
Interesting. I did not catch that one.
No, okay. The nanobot Terminator was supposed to be Skynet, and that was played by Matt Smith. But in one of the trailers, John Connor shows up, and he's been like infected with these Terminator nanobots.
Ew.
Yeah, and I was like, that's something you should really save as a surprise for the end of the movie. You shouldn't tell me that going in.
See, and I didn't see that trailer apparently, so I was like, hey, I kind of want to see this, and I never got around to it. But then that makes me think about Robopocalypse, the sequel to that, Robogenesis.
I haven't read either of those.
I haven't either. However, Rick has. And apparently in the second one, Robogenesis, people get infected by like nanobots that turn them into robots and make them like kill people. I was like, that's kind of creepy and gross. I don't want to play that game.
Nanobots can be fun. They were fun in Jason X, the 10th Friday the 13th
Which
movie.
I never saw.
No, it's you have to see it. It's so fun.
Fun as in bad fun, or fun as in actual fun?
Both?
Both.
It's like when they made that movie, the people that made it were like, okay, we know we can't treat this seriously at all. If we try to treat it seriously, it'll just be bad and stupid. So let's just have a good time making a weird fucking Jason Goes to Space movie.
All right.
It's fun. You have to check it out. It's pretty fun.
I'll put that on my list.
You should. I love that movie.
I mean, God knows there's plenty of bad horror movies that I like, and there's plenty of bad other movies that I like, so may as well just shove it on the list and see what we see.
I heard a car horn.
I did too.
But I heard it through my headphones, so it's going to show up.
Really?
It's going to show up on the podcast.
And now the internet has heard the car horn, even though all of the doors and all of the windows are closed.
Well, yeah, but my house is on street level, so anything that happens on that street, you're going to hear through the windows.
It's true. And, of course, in New York, nothing is soundproof. Not a single thing.
Oh, yeah, because this is just a noisy city.
It's a noisy city, and all of the, apartments and houses and things are built kind of shoddy, so all of the walls are really
they're
thin.
built pretty quick.
Yeah, and, of course, they're all, larger houses that are then broken up into apartments, and so, of course, all the inner walls are all drywall and sad and thin, and it's
they're cheap little walls. Like, the walls in this place aren't that bad. They're actually, solid wood walls, but the doors are really cheap. That's why you can hear me, is this door is just, a couple pieces of plywood strapped together.
It is kind of a cheap door. I'm looking at it right now.
They're very cheap doors. If you've never looked at them, they're really cheap.
Why would I look directly at your door? But yeah,
exactly.
It's true. It's pretty cheap looking. It's true. Well, I mean, walking into your building, down here was very clearly, the living room at one point, and that was kind of it. The living room, maybe the dining room.
Oh, yeah. No, this was something bigger that got, busted up into smaller units.
Yeah, it really is. It was a townhouse that was broken up. How many units are in here? 3, you think?
In the whole building?
Yeah.
6. It's 2 per floor.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's another half to this floor. I keep thinking of that.
Yeah, well, because if you go further back, that's the thing, is that one long hallway. This building itself was probably built to be this little apartment complex, but they probably went into each individual unit and just rearranged them to make... Because, it was probably... They built this, and each apartment was meant to house, a family. And then they went into the building and took, my apartment was probably one big apartment, and they just put up a bunch of weird walls all over the place to divide it into separate rooms.
And, people on the internet are like, we don't care.
Well, yeah, but you know what? They're listening to this. So this is what you get, people on the internet.
People on the internet, if you've moved to New York, you'll realize that all of your apartments are set up really strangely because they were all larger things broken up into smaller places. That's all it is. Typically
speaking, yeah.
Except for mine. Mine was built the way it is. Because it was a large apartment complex to begin with 2 wings, and all of the apartments are as they are now. Hooray for me.
I've mentioned it before, I love your apartment.
Me too.
I want it.
You can't have it.
I'm gonna find a way to get it. God damn.
Well, you're gonna have to get a better job, and I'll have to move out. That's how it's gonna have to work. Because, I can't afford that on my own. You certainly can't afford that on your own. And I'm not leaving anytime soon. So there.
Well, la-di-da, Jen.
But you know what you could afford? Do you like my segues? I love my segues.
What can I afford, Jen? Tell me what I can afford.
You can afford a $700 dorm apartment in Albany, apparently. Or not Albany, Syracuse. I'm sorry, Syracuse.
Yeah, I think it was Syracuse.
Whatever, it's up there. So... I don't remember what this guy's claim to fame was, but he's determined that millennials are very sad because we can't meet anybody. And I say we, I'm not a millennial. I was born in the 70s. Millennials can't meet anybody because once you're out of school and once you're in a job, you really have no social life unless you find it somewhere else. So they have determined that millennials want to live in a dorm-like experience outside of college. So this guy
not call it a dorm. They were very specific in not calling it a dorm.
What did they call it, though?
Well, they called it
not a commune.
Not a commune, but it was very close. It was like a
communal something.
Co-space, co-living space.
Something.
I pulled it up because I'm going to have a lot of things to say about the wording of this article because I just... common space. They called it a common space.
Well, I mean, the thing about this is, and on paper, it's actually kind of a cool idea, is that you have your own little apartment. Again, Mike Lewis, your apartment would probably be one of those units, in fairness.
No, yeah, exactly. My apartment is already set up like this because KR has the one room. I have this tiny little room that I live in that has my bed against the window, and I have a desk right next to my bed that butts up against the closet. Like, I lived this life already. But the way that they have this thing set up, apparently, is like, it is a dorm. It's like a college dorm room. Basically, they have a thing where it's divided up into, okay, according to the wording of the article, common space will feature 21 micro units, which each pack a tiny kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and living space into 300 square feet. So it's a 300 square foot room that has all the amenities that you could need, and then on the floor that all these rooms are on, there's going to be like a shared common room, like a shared area where people can go to gather and hang out and watch movies or whatever, I don't know. But, yeah, it is an interesting idea, but I just don't like the way this article is worded in a lot of places. It's like I told you, it seems to me that, like, there is no, I was about to say socialism, but that's not what I'm trying to say. There is no social life anymore. They don't treat it like being social. It's all social media. And they're trying to treat this as some kind of, like, in real life social media thing. And, like, they're hiring a quote-unquote social engineer to live in the building and, like, work with the groups that live there. And they're talking about trying to, like, all these people they're gonna live in this space, and apparently they want to try to make it to where they all even act as a group, and they go out and they do things together, and they go on pub crawls, and they do all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know any of the people that live in my building. I don't want to know the people that live in my building. I am here because I just need an apartment. The rest of these people can fuck off.
Well, I think it's a different mindset, though, than what these people would be living in. Like, you and I live in New York City. We live in large apartment. Like, I live in a giant apartment complex. I know the name of 2 of my neighbors on my floor, and that is it. But I feel like, see, I kind of like this idea, but I think better than you do. Only because, like, in my college experience, first of all, you have your own kitchenette and your own bathroom, which I did not have as a college student.
Yeah, that is kind of cool, because I know that in most dorm room situations, it's like it's a shared kitchen, and like some places they have floors, it's like one giant bathroom on the floor that you have to go down to.
That's what I had. I had one giant bathroom that you shared with like the entire floor, and it was kind of gross. The idea that you have your own specific living space, again, like I said, put your apartment into this situation. You would have your apartment, and then you would still have a shared living space with your floor, and you'd have a shared chef kitchen, which you did not mention, which is super awesome, because like then you could cook actual like crazy meals and feel like, you know, you want to share them with your dorm mates, whatever you want to call them, fine. See, I think that's a really cool idea, but going back to what you said about having the social coordinator or whoever the hell that is,
social engineer,
them, whatever. I don't need somebody else being my resident advisor essentially and being like, hey, let's go do these things together. I find a little bit weird as a fully grown adult. In college, it's fine. As a fully grown person, though, I'm like, you know what? I have my space, which is great. There's some shared space, which is also great. We can hang out, have fun. I don't need somebody coordinating my social life, though. That seems weird.
Which does seem like that's what this is supposed to be. Because if you keep reading the article, it talks about how it's supposed to be a place where you can make friends and have a group that you hang out with, but then you also still have your own. It's almost like you just have your own room. It's like living in a big house with a bunch of people, and if you want to go to your room and be left alone, you go to your room. But what just drives me insane is just the language of this article and the way that people are like looking at real life these days. Like further down the article, it's like, you know, these people aren't the only ones trying something like this. Pure House, which the New York Times called a millennial commune, is a Williamsburg apartment building that also creates a networking and social community for its residents. Like, when I talk to other people, when I try to meet other people, the word networking does not enter my vocabulary.
Really? That's not a thing for you?
It is not a thing for me. I don't network. I don't do social media. I don't, whatever the hell the goddamn corporate buzzwords are these days. I just talk to people.
Well, and you have to, I mean, You have to realize that I feel like that's a bit of a lost art now in a lot of ways. Like, and that's
It probably is. It probably really is.
And it's not for everybody. Like, not everybody has lost this ability. But I had a friend that I used to work with who had a Second Life account, and she was so much more comfortable.
Oh yeah, I've heard about Second Life. That's like it's like an RPG, but it's not
so freaking weird.
But it's not like Warcraft or
no, it's like The Sims,
yeah,
except it's you.
It's The Sims, but you with other people, and like you're living an actual like Second Life.
Yeah, hence the name. And while I fully understand that that's kind of fun, and you can be whoever you want to be in that situation, there's a good number of people, and there's a documentary, I think it's on Netflix, called Second Life, or The Second Life, something like that, where they delve into the lives of these people and how kind of isolated they are because they're spending all of their social time with these people on the internet. And like you and I were talking about earlier, you never know who you're talking to. Like, well, you could be like getting along great with this persona on the internet. That could totally not be the person you're actually talking to. It's super weird to me. I mean, like I'm a super extroverted person. I like talking to people. I can go to a party and talk to whoever. I don't care. Whatever. But there are plenty of people that are not, and so this is much more of a safe space for them. But then, like, you could be anything you want to be, which is great. However, you start blurring those lines and trying to be like, hey, we should meet up in real life, and they're not at all who you're talking to. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's weird how you can do that. And I've heard a lot of weird stories about that kind of stuff where, especially like over at Asia, I know this is kind of a thing because we talk about like Second Life and RPGs and that kind of stuff. I know that Korea has a big problem with that, and they actually have clinics that they've opened up to help people deal with like computer game addiction and stuff. There was a big thing in Japan a while back where there were these forums that people got on and they made suicide pacts.
Oh, Jesus.
With complete strangers they met on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was something that happened. It wasn't like a huge widespread thing, but I think it happened a few times and it's popped up in some stories. And the media, I'm sure, overblows it and makes it much more than it is because that's what they do, but it happened once or twice. So yeah, it's weird. You find these safe spaces on the internet where you can communicate because you're not dealing face-to-face with people, so you can be whoever you want to be, but that also seems to make you more easily influenced, probably. I don't know. But this whole thing with the apartment, it's like, it almost feels forced. It feels like you're trying to force people into some kind of a social group.
Well, see, I don't know if you're really forcing them, though, because people that are going to apply to be in this kind of place want that to begin with. So it's not so much a forcing situation.
That's true.
But it's still, I guess it's a product of what our socialization is now. Like, back when I was a kid, when you were a kid, whatever. Like, you met people through school, you met people through extracurricular activities, you met people through work, whatever. But now, you've got Facebook and Twitter and back in the day, MySpace.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that with this whole apartment building idea, it's not that it seems forced, but it seems very fake.
Well,
it seems phony.
Agreed.
And again, it seems like an extension of the phoniness of social media and online interaction, but put in the real world. And so it doesn't seem like a real thing to me. And all the weird buzzwords and stuff they use in this article and all the ways that they use to describe it, it just seems so fake.
Well, there was I'm sorry, I'm trying to look it up on the internet now. There was a woman, oh there it is. Senna O'Neill. She was an Australian girl. She's still here. Sorry. She is an Australian girl. She's I think it's 19 years old. Who was like this Instagram sensation. She was a model, whatever, and she based her self-worth on how many likes she had, things of that nature. And she had posted a YouTube video saying how much crap this is and how your likability on social media and your popularity on such a thing really isn't your worth, and it's really hard not to fall into that trap. And she posted this whole YouTube rant about how none of this is real and people need to understand that none of this is real. And it just amazes me that people don't seem to understand that while there are certainly plenty of people who are fairly themselves on social media, like again I am my name on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff,
Yeah, everything that I've seen that you have is just your actual name and a picture of yourself. Yeah.
Pretty much. I am me everywhere I am because, holy crap, what else would I do? But there are plenty of people who have like this entire separate persona. There's that documentary and now an entire television show called Catfish about people who pretend to be other people on the internet to draw in relationships. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like really, this is where we are now. Like we cannot connect with human beings on a regular face-to-face level. We have to create a whole new persona to become an entirely different person to attract somebody else. It's just, the whole thing is so weird. I know we've totally gone off the rails on this apartment thing, but I'm just like, the idea...
But again, I feel like this apartment thing is sort of an offshoot of that.
But you know what, though? Now that I'm thinking about it, making another connection. You know, back in the 60s, which neither you nor I were around for, the whole commune idea. That's exactly what this is, but in the digital age. That's what this is.
Yeah, no, they mentioned the idea of a commune somewhere at the beginning of this article. They bring up, they call that a millennial commune.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole idea that, you know, you can socially live together and kind of rely on each other for your own human interaction, but then in this case, it's a digitally contrived thing. It's really weird.
Yeah, it tries to combine like actual real life social interaction with digital social. I don't know. It's just so strange what we've come to.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I have a very, very long memory of time before internet and social media and all that stuff, and I know that many people do not. It's kind of interesting. I feel like I'm in an interesting situation where I can kind of see both sides of that. It's like, I love internet. I love social media. I love, you know, getting on Twitter and reaching out and touching my favorite celebrities in a non-nerdy way.
Misha Collins.
Oh, Misha Collins. He was tweeting a lot today. Well, a little bit today. He was tweeting at Donald Trump, which is entertaining. But yeah, so I can reach out and touch my favorite celebrities, Misha Collins, Melanie Lewinsky, you know, whoever. And I think that's really cool, but I don't find that is my sole representation of my social life, because I find that very weird. And there's plenty of people, like, that's how they meet people. They meet, like, their dating partners that way. They meet their friends that way. It was like, how is it that we've lost the ability to walk up to people, like actual real-life human beings, be like, hey, my name is Jennifer. What is it you do? You know, why is this a lost art? It's so weird.
It's because most people consider that creepy and invasive these days.
Why is that invasive?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I thought you didn't like me. I'm sorry.
No. I'm totally fine normally with going up to people and just talking, but a lot of people, that's just like weird and makes you a crazy person.
I guess. I mean, Rick and I have talked about that, where, like, remember when we went to the bar for your friend who had won a party, apparently with, like, everybody else on the planet.
Yeah. It was Naomi, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was like, what is her name? And I had no problem talking to her. I had never met her. I knew she was your friend, and so therefore I knew she must be relatively good people. And so I was just, like, making random-ass conversation. Rick was wholly uncomfortable. Now, in fairness, there was a lot of people, and it was very loud. And
it was such a crowded, loud... Yeah, it was
hard to deal with, but I could find a way to latch onto the one person I knew that was there. The reason why we were there is because she had won the party. And I could have that conversation. There are plenty of people, again, like Rick, who have the difficulty breaching that divide. Mm-hmm. And I kind of look at them and going, oh, well, is that a function of how our social interactions work now? Or is that how introverted people operate? It's such a contrast now to what our abilities are.
I think that's how introverted people operate, and I think that now that we have the internet and we have social media and we have all this stuff, I feel like the world now caters to introverted people so much more.
Which is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form.
It's not a bad thing, no, but I feel like now... I feel like it was set up that way, and so now people that are growing up with this kind of system are sort of being engineered to be introverted type people.
Do you think they're being stunted a little bit as far as social
It might be it, because, like, you know, when we were kids, it was just you had to go and meet people. You had to walk up and just say hi to somebody.
Right.
And now you can just go on any forum to find people that might have similar interests to you, and you don't necessarily have to meet them in person, and so you don't have to create an actual in-person kind of, I don't want to say persona because we're talking about online. You don't have to create and maintain those social skills.
But I find that a bit terrifying. Like, so I was poking around on what was I on? I was on some sort of it was a Gishwiz. It was the Gishwiz network on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And there was a person saying, "Hey, I'm going to travel the country. I need to couch surf with some people. Does anybody here want to, offer up their couch?" I'm going, you are trusting your person with people you don't know. And there's
that's kind of amazing because you have that website. You have, I think it's called. Is it called Couch Surf?
Oh, could be. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a website that's like that where it's like
weird.
it's Couch Surf where you can just you can sign up and people can take you into their house. There are God, I wish I could remember all these different sites, but there's one where you can offer up your house to somebody while you're away.
Well, it's Airbnb.
No, Airbnb. No, this is different. Airbnb is like that, but you can have people in your house while you're there. No, this was something where it's you can actually sign up to if you go on vacation and somebody else needs a place to stay while they're in a city, you can give them the keys to your house and they can watch and maintain your house for you while you're away.
So weird. For both sides of that equation, people that are
but at the same time, is this really any different than a youth hostel?
Well, and again, I was never comfortable with that. I stayed in a hostel when I was in Stockholm, and while that was fine and whatever, I did happen to see a older gentleman in a Speedo waiting for the shower. I mean, there are things that are traumatizing.
Well, but that's just Europe, Jen. I mean, come on. They have different sensibilities over there. Let's be real.
I guess. But I mean, is it any different than youth hostel? Yes, because the youth hostel is not your house. You're not offering it up to random ass people.
Yeah.
In this situation, again, both sides of the equation, you have the person who's couch surfing, trusting themselves to these people they don't know, and you have the person who's offering the home, trusting these people to come into their house and not steal their shit or kill them. I mean, just it seems like a really, really precarious way to do social interaction.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe we're the crazy ones, Jen, because maybe now we're at a point where people are so trusting and the world is getting to be such a better place that people are okay with doing this thing and people can go and make this happen. And it is a really cool, and whereas we're looking at it with suspicion and distrust, maybe, I don't know, maybe we're the ones being left behind.
Then why are there always robberies and deaths on my news every night?
Well, because that's all the news likes to report.
I'm going, but this stuff is still happening.
The news doesn't like to report the happy, feel-good stuff because that doesn't bring in ratings.
There is another documentary called Tall, Hot, Blonde, should you feel the urge to go look at it.
Okay, this sounds interesting. I'm not one for blondes, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, me neither. But so Tall, Hot, Blonde. It actually happened in the Buffalo, New York area, which is a stone's throw away from my hometown. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And where it was this guy. Oh God, I have to remember it now. So it was this guy and this girl and this third guy. So this guy, the first guy and the girl were talking and having an internet relationship. And there was this second guy who was like, well, no, you need to have a relationship with me. And so she was talking with him. And eventually, the second guy kills the first guy for this girl. And it's all that, and as it turns out, the girl who, the person she presented on the internet was not at all the person that she actually was.
Right.
And neither was the guy who actually did the killing. The only person that was actually real in any of this scenario was the one dude who died. Everybody else was putting up some sort of front.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it's just one of these where really? Okay, in my job, I talk with, various people in stores. And some of them are really cool. I'm like, you'd be fun to know in reality. And I think about going, I wonder if you're a serial killer.
Yeah, because who really is their actual self these days? We have so many different personas that we have to
true.
Present to the world.
And then there's me who's just too freaking lazy to come up with more than one. I'm just this is kind of me. And I mean, I have better behaved Jen versus not so greatly behaved Jen. But for the most part, it's all kind of me.
Right.
But there are
just doing different things and different levels of inhibition.
But there are plenty of people out there that have one persona specifically online versus who they are in reality. Again, watching the TV show Catfish will show you that. It's holy crap. These people that, hey, I'm a male Marine who has come back from Iraq and I have PTSD, so I can't actually meet you. Turns out to be this lesbian chick.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen weird stuff like that, yeah.
While the internet and social media is a wonderful way to reach out and meet new people, you never know who you're actually meeting, and it's kind of weird. There was when I was at the circus, I was talking with a chick who was also named Jennifer. Her name is Jenny, And we ended up meeting up when I was in Massachusetts. We met up in Salem. She came and picked me up. We went to, like, the Salem Witch Museum. We went to Salem Beer Works and had dinner. And she was actually the person that she presented. But that was, like, as far as I know, a really rare occurrence. People are not usually who they say they are on the internet anymore.
Yeah, well, I feel like that was kind of from the beginnings of the internet. That was something you always heard about, was people that just, like, pretended to be somebody else.
Yeah. And, you know, you have the super malicious, like the creepy pedophile people stalking small children. And then you have the you know, not as malicious, but still just as disingenuous people that are like, I'm really awkward and sad, and this is the person I would like to be, but I'm not. You know, and there's an awful lot of that. And it's one of these where you never know who you're talking to. So when you're in a situation where, like, your only social interaction is through the internet or through a social engineer, whatever the hell that was.
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. Just the fact that they use the and each time they use it in the article, it was in quotes.
Nah.
So it's like, it almost seems like they were admitting to the fact that they knew that it was bullshit. Like, they were saying, okay, we know that this is a crock of shit that we've come up with and doesn't mean anything. But, yeah, he's a social engineer.
All right, well, more power to you, man. Yeah.
And then you have us, who, you know, we make a thing that the internet can listen to, and we kind of hope that everybody believes that we are who we say we are.
True. And I can say I am who I am, but, you know, who knows?
But they don't believe you.
Well, you know what, I don't believe me
Because
either.
nobody believes anything on the internet.
Well, they shouldn't. Holy crap. There's plenty of stuff out there that you shouldn't believe. It's a brave new world, Mike Lewis, of technology and social interaction via technology, and it's very, very weird.
It's funny, I keep noticing whenever we record these things that we're both kind of anti-internet technology in a way, and yet we're recording a show that's going to go up on the internet so that people can hear.
We record, well, because, you know, we're narcissistic. We're like, you know, we hate the
That's
internet,
true.
but people want to hear us.
You know what? We both fully admit that this is a complete ego thing that we're doing. We just figure that people want to listen to our stupid, inane bullshit, because there's a part of us that really wants people to listen to us.
Clearly. Well, you know, I was a theater major. I have a degree in such things. Clearly, I want people to look at me and listen to me.
You want to be noticed. Well, you don't want people to look at you. That's why we're doing an audio format podcast.
Well, if I wanted people to look at me, I'd be a unicorn.
Oh, the things that the listeners will never know that we cut from the show.
But it's awesome because you know, and I know, and it's super funny to the both of us.
And they don't need to know.
No. That's right. There's a hidden story there, people, so figure it out.
I think that's a good place to end.
I agree with you.